Dear brothers, have you asked yourselves, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mention Fir'aun 67 times in the Quran? The Quran that falsehood cannot come to it from before it or from behind it, for it has been sent down from the one full of wisdom, worthy of praise. This repetition of the mentioning of the Fir'aun was not in vain. Rather, it is a divine wisdom in explaining the miracle of the Quran, in narrating the story of Musa alayhi salam with Fir'aun in different contexts, and also as a consolation and relief for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam from the great harm he was facing at the hands of Quraysh. It is also a primary example in the struggle between haqq and batil, truth and falsehood. That falsehood and tyranny, they are momentary and fleeting and will not last. And that no matter how long the time of falsehood lasts or how much it reaches in terms of disbelief and denial, Allah is the supporter of the truth. Allah is al-haq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we had already sent messengers before you to their people, and they brought them clear proofs. Then we took vengeance on those who committed crimes, and it was incumbent upon us, upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to support the believers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described Fir'aun by saying, and his people and his entourage and the people around him, who Allah gave them adornments of wealth and power, but they spent it to deviate people and to corrupt people. They subjected people to the worst torment, slaughtered their children, took their women captive, transgressed on earth. They were arrogant and denied the 9 signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they accused Musa alayhi salam of magic, madness, lying, corruption. But did Fir'aun not stand in the General Assembly of the United Nations and say, "O eminent ones, I know of no God for you other than me"? Did he not address the Middle East and say, "I am your highest Lord. Laws and customs do not apply to me, and my hand reaches you all"? Did he not call at the top of his voice, pointing to his map, "Is not the kingdom of Egypt mine? And these rivers flowing beneath it are mine. Do you not see?" Didn't he say, "We will kill their children, sons, and spare their women, and indeed we are over them dominant"? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the true God, and the only God, had already prepared his time and his place of death. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala summarized the description of Fir'aun by saying, "Indeed, Fir'aun arrogantly elevated himself in the land and made its people into factions, oppressing a part of them, slaughtering their sons, and sparing their women. Indeed, he was of the corrupters." If we review the international statements and the directed media, we will then understand the lessons from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's statements about Fir'aun and Fir'aun's contempt for his people and his misleading them. For in his corrupt system, he accuses Musa alayhi salam, who killed a man by mistake, of corruption. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed, about Fir'aun in this situation, Fir'aun says, "Indeed, I fear that he will change your religion or that he will spread corruption in the land." All the while, Fir'aun has killed 168,000 people in Gaza, women, children, elderly. And this is stated by the Lancet Medical Magazine in the UK. Under the pretext of what? Claiming that it is self-defense. Claiming that he is a reformist for the Middle East. That he represents the alliance of generosity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says of Fir'aun, "I only show you what I see. I only guide you to the path of right conduct." أيها المسلمون Listen and be attentive. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on you. Fir'aun killed thousands of children so that Musa alayhi salam would not come. But when he came, Fir'aun raised him in his own palace and he could not change it because Allah had decreed it and Allah had predetermined it. The weapons that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to destroy falsehood cannot be eliminated by those who claim falsehood. They cannot claim a preemptive strike and they say we will destroy them or stop them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed a time that cannot be postponed, a time that cannot be changed, an event that cannot be altered. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and Allah intends to establish the truth by His words and to eliminate the disbelievers, that He may establish the truth and abolish falsehood, even though the criminals may hate it. But it is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accomplish a matter that is already done. That is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Fir'aun thought that the struggle between truth and falsehood was a struggle about land or over land. Whoever owns the land owns the right. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who owns the universe, told him that in the end, the owner of the land who has committed a wrong will no longer be its owner. It will be given to others, because in the struggle between haqq and batil, it is a struggle based on aqidah, on belief. Haqq will ultimately triumph, even if falsehood prevails over it for a period of time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed the truth belongs to Allah. He causes it to be inherited by whomever He wills of His servants. And the best outcome is for the righteous. Today, the Fir'aun, he extolled the benefit of water and the importance of water and the running water under his feet. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala drowned him in the sea. He drowned him in the water. So it is today that this promised land will curse the usurper morning and night until the time comes when the trees and the stones will speak. أيها المسلمون, Fir'aun would not have dared to commit such brutal genocide and assassinations if the Islamic countries were not penetrated and exposed to their enemy and engaged in the Abrahamic path. Muslims must realize that the entire nation, the entire ummah, every single one of us, every single family is the target, because that is their project, to target all of us and to target our existence. It is not going to stop in Gaza. It is not going to stop in Lebanon. The position is a position of victory for all who fight, and it is a position of annoyance for them, and it requires unity on the basis of faith.